Why is this picture in the Epstein files? Michael Jackson was innocent. This is actually some dirty work. It was his own damn kid, so why are they making it seem like he was part of the Epstein files and they had to redact these children who were maybe allegedly victims?
Throughout the years, black artists have been taken advantage of. It's been, the record companies really do conspire against their artists. They steal, they cheat, they do whatever they can, especially the black artists.
Understand that if I had taken the medication, I would not be here, and it would have been, woe he was deeply troubled. We miss him. We love his music, though.
Well, they would have Britney Spears too. I mean, look at
they would have Michael Jackson.
If you're one of those people who always believed Michael Jackson was framed, well, it looks like you've been vindicated. Because why are they still trying to tie Michael to some nasty mess with absolutely no evidence? So in case you missed it, Trump's DOJ randomly decided to redact a photo of Michael from the Epstein files for no clear reason at all, even though that same photo has been publicly available for years and there's nothing suspicious or inappropriate about it. So what was the purpose? Well, Kanye has now jumped into the conversation to remind everyone that Michael already tried to warn us about everything that's unfolding right now. See, Michael knew who was working behind the scenes, who was trying to set him up, and who wanted to destroy his reputation. And he feared for his life because he started exposing powerful people who were trying to control him.
I knew Michael was surrounded by people that positioned themselves in his life, positioned themselves to control and take advantage of him. And that's what bothered me more than anything else, because I knew something terrible would happen at the end, not to mention the fact that Michael constantly told me, Latoya, if I die, they're going to murder me, they're going to kill me.
Now, you would think that after Michael passed, they would finally let him rest in peace, but that's clearly not happening. Instead, his name keeps getting dragged out as a distraction, pulling attention away from the real Epstein accomplices and the people Epstein was actually working for. And here's where it gets wild. It's starting to look like those same people are the ones that both MJ and Kanye tried to warn us about.
I really believe it's a conspiracy because the story always ends the same. We pioneer, we innovate, at the end of the story, it's not an accident. It's happened on purpose.
So after this photo of Michael Jackson popped up in the newly released U.S. Department of Justice documents tied to Jeffrey E., the mainstream media wasted no time running with it. They immediately framed it as Michael had just been exposed as one of the clients. And the headlines did exactly what they were supposed to do: get people riled up and not asking questions. And if you didn't bother digging any deeper, you'd probably believe that narrative too. But that's not what was actually going on at all. The photo in question shows Michael standing with Diana Ross and Bill Clinton, along with 3 children. But for absolutely no reason, the administration decided to redact the kids' faces. And of course, that instantly had people assuming those children were island victims. But turns out, those are Michael's own 2 children with Diana Ross's son. The original unredacted photo has been public for years, and you can literally find it on Getty Images. The caption says, singer-songwriter Michael Jackson, his children Michael Joseph Jackson Jr. and Paris Michael Catherine Jackson are photographed with President Bill Clinton, Diana Ross, and her son Evan Ross in Washington, D.C. on December 19, 2003. But that's not all. Several mainstream media outlets reported that the photo of Michael, Diana Ross, and Bill Clinton was taken at an undisclosed location. So they were clearly trying to get people to assume that the photo was taken at the island. Well, that's another lie, because the location isn't undisclosed. They just didn't bother to check, because a simple Google search would tell you that the photo was taken at a charity fundraising event for the Democratic Party at the Apollo Theater in New York. The fundraiser was called A Night at the Apollo, and it was held on April 24th, 2002. Also, there is no record that Epstein was present at this event. Now, did Michael and Epstein actually cross paths? Yes, they did. But if you actually look at the facts, there's zero evidence that Michael was one of the clients. So here's what we know. One of the main things people keep pointing to comes from a 2016 deposition in the Ghislaine Maxwell case. In that testimony, accuser Joanna Schoberg said she met Michael at Epstein Epstein's Palm Beach home. But when she was directly asked whether she ever gave Michael a massage, she said no. And nowhere in those documents does she accuse Michael of any wrongdoing. So the testimony confirms Michael was present at Epstein's house at some point, but that's literally as far as it goes. Now, people also love bringing up the fact that Michael's name reportedly showed up in his contact book, but once you actually look into it, that connection wasn't even direct. It traces back to James Maskin, a former business associate of Michael, and Maskin's lawyer, Samuel Gann, whose contact information was part of Epstein's network. The Justice Department and multiple media outlets have already clarified that these document dumps include contact lists and mentions in depositions, and not proof of criminal behavior or proof that someone was a client. There's also no photo evidence and no official court documents proving that Michael and Epstein had any kind of documented relationship beyond Schoberg's single account of seeing him there. Now, this is where things start getting really interesting, because this is the part that has a lot of people side-eyeing the whole situation and wondering if there was a real effort to frame Michael and pull him into blackmail operation. So some sources have stated that the meeting at Epstein's house was about financial advice, and it took place sometime between 2001 and 2003, just a few months before Michael was formally charged with 7 counts of CM. Now, may I remind you that Michael was acquitted on all accounts in the 2005 trial related to these allegations. The FBI investigated Michael for years before that, and they raided the Neverland Ranch several times, and yet they never found one single piece of evidence they could use against Michael in the trial. There are actual notes from the FBI report on the investigation, and as you can see, they all say nothing. Now, going back to that meeting, some insiders have stated that Michael was brought to Epstein's home by his financial advisors, and that's where it gets spooky, because Michael's family members have said that Michael was surrounded by some very shady people, and he knew these people were using him and trying to control him. And according to Michael's sister LaToya, he was terrified, and he kept telling his loved ones that these people would try to take him out. And LaToya is convinced that that's exactly what happened.
How do you think he died? You've been quoted as saying you believe it may have been. You still think that?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely.
Why are you so sure?
I would never, ever think differently. Because first of all, Michael told me that they were going to him. He was afraid. He was afraid for his life. The people that were involved in his life, is we shared that same life where people come into your life, wiggle their way in, control you, manipulate, control your funds, your finances, everything that you have, and you must do what they tell you to do. And that's what Michael was going through. And he knew that everything that was happening to him was not kosher, it wasn't right.
Now, obviously, LaToya couldn't just come out and flat out name the people she believes were working against Michael, but if you actually read between the lines, and especially if you remember what Michael himself said over the years about the industry, then honestly, LaToya doesn't need to spell it out. If you know, you know. Now, another person who knows all about this is Kanye West. So remember when Kanye exposed his former personal trainer, Harley Pasternak, and said this man tried to have him institutionalized, and then the whole world turned around and called Kanye crazy? Yeah. What's actually weird is what came out after that. It was revealed that Harley previously worked as an intelligence agent for the Canadian military. And now here is where it gets even more uncomfortable, because it's starting to look like Michael Jackson may have had his own version of a Harley Pasternak, someone who claimed he was there to help Michael, but if you ask Kanye, he was actually there to handle him. And now there's growing speculation online that this man was the one who brought Michael to Epstein's house and allegedly tried to frame him.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys are seeing photos of Michael Jackson pictured with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton. This is the reason why. If you aren't aware of who that man is on the right, that is Rabbi Shmuley. I think each and every single one of you know who Rabbi Shmuley is. That would be this individual. This is the individual who has connected Michael Jackson to Jeffrey Epstein, and I want everybody to remember that. This man also happens to own a sex store with his daughter, and I think that kind of tells you everything you need to know about who he is, what he stands for, and what he's trying to do, and the ideas that he's trying to push. Please be very careful when you're thinking and looking back at who this all relates to, why they're all doing this, and what the Epstein case is about.
So now that you have all the facts, let me know what you think about Michael getting pulled into this mess. Do you think they really tried to frame him for crimes he didn't commit, and then when that didn't work, they decided to silence him for good? Leave all your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you in this next video.